Still in the spirit of Christmas, it's a beautiful Monday, and you're welcome to Business Nigeria, where we'll bring you latest happenings in the world of business across the country. I am Tolulope Ogujobi. Welcome. Now, traders in major markets in the country, especially Lagos, are lamenting low patronage as prices of foodstuffs and other household items are on the increase. And customers, on the other hand, complain of lack of purchasing power. Well, our business crew visited some markets in Lagos, and here are the response we got.
This time around, the Turkish business is very costly. Before, when we are selling the market, we are enjoying it. But now, the market is too cost because of how things it is. Before, like a carton now, we can buy carton like 7,000, 8,000, but now it's 14,000 naira, 13,000 something. It's too costly. So the problem is too much now. I don't know what to say again.
This yam now, before we used to buy it 200, 220, but now we buy 300. And we sell 1,000 for 3. Sure you they understand. Potato before we buy 4,000, now we buy 8,500, 9,000. But our prayer be say, may government, may they help Nigeria.
As in, things are very expensive this year compared to last year. Last year, at least we can still buy something, but this year, in fact, it's on the high side. For instance, we bought some things like ×2 of what we bought last year compared to this year. So things are very, very costly, but we have no choice than to buy it, and we continue to pray that God should provide for us. At least we should be able to meet up our needs.
Indeed, meeting up with needs seems to be very important. Now, in the same vein, bank customers have also been complaining of difficulties in withdrawing cash from ATM machines. That's signs of cash crisis in some banks, which have multiplied in the past few weeks. Now, even from outside Lagos and other states, there were this same information that people were not able to access cash, challenges with the banks, So we went around also in Lagos to feel the pulse of customers at ATM points.
The ATM, they are not really working. That's just the truth. Because on the day before Christmas, on 24, I was one of the bank to collect money. We were there for over 1 hour. Nothing was happening.
They have been at the ATM queue for like 30 minutes now. I went to order one day. The service is bad. It's even swallowed some people's ATM card, and it's very bad.
Well, the bank has a network problem. There's no cash flow. So it's not paying. People come and go. They don't get their money.
In almost every banks, they've not been dispensing since Friday. It wasn't on Friday or Saturday. I was highly disappointed. Even Zenith, I've been to many banks, nothing at all.
The situation of the ATM in Lagos or K2 is much worse. I've been here since 6 o'clock now, and I go to get money, and I need money for my family to take care of them today. You understand? So I don't know the situation on ground now.
Indeed, it's really a worrisome trend, not getting cash at this time, where people even find it difficult to even get the purchasing power to buy things. Well, let's see how it all plays out. I'm sure the central bank will definitely have something to say with regards to this. Well, to other stories now. A civil society organization has charged the federal government to ensure full implementation of the 2017 budget once it's signed into law. Action Aid Nigeria stressed that prompt release of funds for capital projects can help the government realize its goals of economic recovery. The body maintains that the 2017 budget presented by President Muhammadu Buhari to the National Assembly is doable only if the government demonstrates the will to bring its ambition to bear. Its programs director, Salah Chibok, said 2 independent monitoring teams have been set up to keep an eye on government agencies to ensure transparency in the award of and execution of capital projects in the coming year.
The government has M&E in its planning and budget ministry, who will also take an interest, and of course the individual citizens who are watching in communities and seeing how these programs are being implemented will also have information. So when we triangulate all of these different sources of information, we can know exactly how far the program is succeeding in terms of closing the inequality gap.
So our role as monitors is to ensure that we also bring the perspective of the citizens to the project. A lot of times we have to depend on monitors that are paid by government, and the real or the voices of the people and their journey through the project is not carried through. So this is an opportunity to carry the journey of beneficiaries into the project for possible improvement if there needs to be, and that the people are carried along.
Staying with the budget now, the Nigerian government is optimistic that the 2017 budget will help lift the country out of recession. Budget and Planning Minister Udo Udoma says government is not moved by pessimists who think the budget can't be funded. He says strategies have been put in place to get monies required for the expenditure plan. Now, Lara Afolayan completes the report.
A public presentation of the 2017 budget breakdown, a more than 7 trillion naira expenditure plan that has been criticized as being hastily put together and will likely go the way of those before it. But the budgetary authorities feel the budget will help actualize the country's economic growth plan. They insist the expenditure will expand partnerships between the public and private sector for infrastructure development and enhancement of critical economic sectors.
2.08 billion for airside rehabilitation of the Abuja airport and 2.47 billion for the construction of an inland river port and supply of cargo handling equipment at Baro in Niger State. Health, 11.72 billion for joint venture investments in tertiary institutions with the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. The idea behind this is we want to stop medical tourism. 18.86 billion for water supply schemes nationwide and 14.3 billion for construction and rehabilitation of dams. Now these are very important for agriculture.
The budget proposal envisages a total revenue of nearly 5 trillion naira, and this exceeds projections in the 2016 budget by 28%. Debt servicing is put at more than 1 trillion naira and a sinking fund of above 177 billion naira. Non-debt recurrent expenditure is put at nearly 3 trillion naira and capital expenditure at 2.24 trillion naira.
We will continue to improve on the speed of implementation, and that is one of the reasons why the government is looking at asking for some approvals, waivers, from the National Assembly to shorten the procurement timelines, because that is really hindering the progress of the capital implementation.
The power sector has the largest capital allocation of 564 billion naira. Officials say government intends to issue 2 trillion naira worth of bonds for outstanding contract liabilities. They say a social housing scheme, renewal of the export expansion grant, and recapitalization of the banks of industry and agriculture are some projects in the budget proposal. Government strongly believes the budget will be quickly and effectively implemented as soon as it is passed into law by the National Assembly and assented to by President Muhammadu Buhari. Lara Afolayan, TVC News, Abuja.
Now, Nigerians are yearning for speedy implementation of the 2017 budget, and some are also bothered about how far the government has gone with the diversification drive that's by the federal government. Well, now joining us via Skype to talk more on this is a corporate commercial solicitor. I'm being told that I have him via phone, and AKIN OMISADE, and also WALE OYEKOYA too will be joining us. He's with the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I must thank you for your time on Business Nigeria.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, thanks for sparing your time for us on Business Nigeria. Now, my question, thoughts, let's start with the season. It's the festive season. Merry Christmas. And,
Merry Christmas to you and compliments of the season.
Yes, I wish you the same. But Nigerians are complaining. Hiking price of foodstuffs, the purchasing power remains very low. Where do we go from here?
Well, it's the sign of the times. And we, to be honest, we knew this was going to happen. Look at what has been happening in the country since January. Nothing has improved. The prognosis before now did not say it was going to get better. The purchasing power of the Naira has dwindled and it is continuing to dwindle. The economy is it's creaking at the knees. It's almost falling on its knees now. So we need to reflate the economy ASAP. Else the outlook for 2017 does not even bode well for consumers, for businessmen, for investors. But there's still a lot of work to do. If you look at the mood of the nation, if you follow the mood of the nation, I mean, not many people traveled, not many people were able to spend. The banks collapsed over the period before the Christmas break when transfers were not going through, the ATMs were empty. That tells you that there's a lot of imbroglio in the system. It's unfortunate, but we need to ask Mr. President and his team that this budget of economic recovery and growth, we need it now, not tomorrow. Many families just hardly got by and are just waiting for this time to pass. And may this cup pass over Nigeria.
Interesting there. Now, I'm particular about this word, reflecting the economy. Lots of experts have used it lately. We need to reflect this economy. We need to reflect this economy. While some say we could spend our way out of recession. In your words, what do you really think needs to be done? You talked about the economic team and this budget of recovery and all that. That's about 7 trillion budget, which we are looking forward to. How would you assess 2016's implementation before we now move ahead to 2017? What do you make of this?
Again, I am an advocate that we need to spend our way out of recession, and I will keep saying it. If we agree to spend our way out of recession, then we need to have the policies in place that will guide our spending, that will moderate our spending. We can print as much Naira to kickstart projects, but then we must understand that there are projects that we're going to be spending on. And that is how we begin to reflate the economy. We need to build confidence in the economy. We need to build confidence in consumer spending. Inflation is running away like a runaway train. We need to bring an end to that. And how do we do that? Make sure that there are enough products and services available so that the excess cash that is in the system is spread around those products and services. We need to invest in our power structure. We need to invest in housing. We need to invest in education. We need to invest in manufacturing, infrastructural projects. Those are the things that we need. We don't need our legislators spending X amount on brand new SUVs. No, we need to build new teaching hospitals. We need to make sure that the existing teaching hospitals are functioning. The lecturers are paid. We need to get our manufacturing back. We need to get agriculture back. We need to get solid minerals back. Those are the areas where you can reflect the economy. For example, if you have a rice mill, look at what happened between Lagos and Kebbi State. Lake rice is good, but we need to take it further. It should not be something that is a one-off, like a flash in the pan. It must be something that is continually ongoing. What is the process for the next 3 months? What is the process for the next 6 months? Will there be enough rice? Okay, there's enough rice. What is the distribution network? Now you're going to build new roads. What is the storage network? Where's the warehousing network? Then what about export? We're a major factor in West Africa. Should we not begin to think about exporting? That is how we begin to reflect the economy. Because when you begin to do that, what's going to happen is that you're going to have more people working because there are more services working. There's enough money to buy and pay for those services. The government, for example, look at our exchange rate. There's not enough exchange. There's not enough forex in the system. We have 3 systems and they're just not working. The CBN governor needs to look at his policies and provisions again. He has powerful powers to do these things. So there's a lot of work to be done. To be honest, there's indeed a great deal of work to be done.
Indeed. Just before I let you go, because you've actually touched on where I wanted the last question I wanted to ask. You know, talking about building this confidence, which we definitely need to building investors' confidence and having them come back to the country. One thing remains very important here, the issue of Forex. And it's been a challenge. At the time we floated the Naira, at the time there was a free fall, just like you said. I don't know. How do we really get this Forex thing right?
Well, the only way to get market confidence is, first of all, have an economic team that has international confidence. That's number one. Number two, have economic policies that will attract foreign investment. That is number two. Number three, have an internal system that is accountable. For example, look at our budget. The government is saying that the Naira will exchange for the dollar at 305. You're already sending a message to the international community that I'm not going to devalue. Meanwhile, the value of the Naira is not actually what it is. The actual value is what it is actually paying to get the dollar. So why will the investor come in knowing that he's going to have challenges obtaining the dollar to export his profit? Look at our capital importation policies. So if you want to generate interest and confidence, those are areas you will need to look at. Desperately look at and overhaul. In 2016, 53% of direct foreign investment left Nigeria between 2015 and 2016. So that tells you the type of deep waters that we are walking in, that we are swimming in. And if we don't quickly swim out of it, we will start to sink. So there's a lot of work to do. Attract foreign investment. Make the tax regime freer. Make the Naira float at its true rate. There's no point. You are propping up a Naira. You are giving it a backing that you don't have. That's why we are having the problem.
Akin OMISADE there. I must thank you for your time. Corporate Commercial Solicitor Akin OMISADE giving his views there passionately on issues surrounding the Nigerian economy, budget implementation, amongst others. Thank you for joining us on Business Nigeria. Yeah, now we'll go on a break now and we'll be back with more on the show. Please stay with us. It's going to be interesting. Thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Business Nigeria, and we are looking at issues surrounding the Nigerian economy at this Yuletide season. And I have now, again, I have our phone, WALE OYEKOYA. He's with the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, an executive member of the chambers. I must thank you for joining us at this time on Business Nigeria, Wale.
Yeah, I'll say Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, I wish you the same. Yeah, for you. Where I'm going to start from is the prices of foodstuffs. They are so much on the high side. What is happening?
Well, most of the foodstuffs are very expensive because of the situation in the country where some of the importations have been banned, and with the bumper harvest that the farmers are having, it's not really showing because we have a whole lot of foodstuff that couldn't really get to the market, and with the marriage between the Lagos State and Kebbi with the lake rice, it couldn't go around. But we believe there's going to do much better. A lot of people are really complaining that there's so much high cost of all this foodstuff, and we hope 2017 we're going to change all this.
Now, hoping for 2017, we know that we have a diversification agenda which we ought to follow. That's the government. What would you say about it? How would you say they've gone? How have they fared? Because I know you've been following these policies. What do you think is not really right at this time?
No, definitely. I think we have a whole lot to do in our hands here. I will really employ the federal government and the state government to really harness the issue of this agriculture, especially food security in the country, because if you continue like this, a lot of people are going to rise up that, listen, we cannot continue like this. I think they can feed themselves. The nation will be able to move forward. So the diversification of our economy that we're talking about is not really showing any much of the effect. And we have to understand with so many factors that is really affecting us. The climate change is there. The herdsmen issue is there. The Boko Haram issue is there. So a lot of problems are really coming up, and the government really need to tackle it if they are really going to have food security in the country. And not only just carbohydrate we are talking about, we are talking of proteinous aspects of the animal production. If you look at the feed that most of the farmers are feeding to the animals is on a very high side. So that is why you see some of these chickens, some of these turkey, they are so expensive. Even fish, they are very expensive in the market, and a lot of people cannot afford it. So the government really need to look into it. Are we truly diversifying our economy, or we are just playing game as usual? And with all these policies of assault that we've been seeing here and there, every hands has to be on deck if we are really going to face food challenges in the country next year.
Indeed, Wale. I remember talking to you one time, and you talked about some portfolio farmers. You talked about it at a particular time. Now, I wanted to look at the Ministry of Agriculture and all the moves being made by the current minister, Audu Ogbe, and, you know, laudable moves being made by this ministry. You are directly involved in this. What's your assessment, briefly, as we round up?
Yes, the problem we keep on having that, as I always tell people, that Nigeria have got most of the beautiful policies, but the problem is the implementation. And if you look at the money that is being channeled into agriculture, I keep on saying that, and I stand to be corrected, that the real farmers are not really benefiting. There are so many intervention funds coming from the CBN, like the anchor borrowers and the SME from the Bank of Industry, and the support from the Bank of Agriculture, but we are not feeling the effect because the real people that need this thing are not really getting it. I look at the budget that is being budgeted to the agri sector during the 2017 budget, 98 billion naira. That is extremely too low. This money is not even enough to revive some of the agri and some of the farmers that have already gone comatose. So, and according to the agreement by Maputo, that Nigeria is one of the signatories during the African Union Summit in Maputo, that 10% of our GDP is supposed to go into the agriculture. It's not even close to 2%. And the successful government have been failing on this, and this is why we keep on having all this problem with the food security in the country. And if care is not taken, it's going to continue. And I believe if a nation could be able to feel its citizens, a lot of unrest will be curbed. But if you look at what is really going around, all this chaos, crisis going on, look at diesel also. Now, diesel is going for 250 naira per liter. Come on, where are we going in this country? We are talking about food, so we are talking of other amenities. So the fiscal policy really needs to be strengthened. But whereby we are spending 35% of our GDP, our budget on running the course of fiscal challenges. It's a whole lot of challenges, and I believe the federal government needs to sit up with the real stakeholders in agriculture. Forget about the portfolio farmers. They have nothing to offer to the nation. All right, Wale OYEKOYA there. It was the former chairman of the agricultural group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and also at least an executive member of the chambers. I must thank you very much for your time on Business Nigeria. Well, a lot has been said. The agricultural sector, diversification agenda, issues surrounding the budget. All the Nigerians want is to have food on their table, go about their day-to-day activities, and, you know, have power supply, basic needs, you know. Let's see how it all plays out in 2017. You know, it's all well. Well, thank you very much. That's our package for you today on Business Nigeria. Join us again another time for more insightful analysis, topical issues, particularly, you know, with regards to the business world. I leave you with the graphics of the figures of the exchange today as it stands. I am Tolulope Ogunjobi. On behalf of the entire production crew, Merry Christmas, thank you for watching, and a Happy New Year in advance. Bye for now.